Welcome to the Carr Brothers with Jeff, Jack, and Jody Carr. They talk about current events, politics, community, and business. Take it away, boys.
Hi there. Welcome to the Carr Brothers Show. It's episode 158. I'm Jack.
And I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jody, the third of the three Carr Brothers. Well, Jode, it's great to have you back here. First time in 2026.
I'm back.
That's good.
We missed them.
We did.
Well, I think the
viewers have missed me.
And, they did.
And I've been busy. I've been traveling. I've been just not
Catching
been able
up
to
with
make
work.
it. I've been doing high school hockey work
Yeah.
I'm just so happy to be back.
Well, yeah, it's great to have the three of us. I mean, they like it when there's two out of the three and things, but that's nothing better than having the three of us.
And we're on episode
the same.
158.
I know. It's hard to believe, isn't it? 158, and people can tune in on here on CHCO-TV, on our Facebook page, on YouTube is where we're really trying to build. So if you're watching on YouTube, just give us a like. Give us a subscribe as well and share it because we're really trying to build up the audience there. And also on your favorite podcast. So we are getting downloads on that too. So, so that's good. Mm-hmm. Well, we're having no guest here tonight.
No guest.
But that's fine because people like the open mic chat.
Yep. Just a little chit-chat, casual chit-chat on the goings-on in New Brunswick and elsewhere.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And, of course, Jeff, we were at the State of the Province address.
We were last Thursday, a week ago.
Well, jam-packed, 1,000 people like ever.
And what was the mood like in the crowd?
Well, we like to go get around the room and talk to people and former stakeholders and make new friends and new stakeholders just to catch up with people, talk to mayors.
Did you go around together or did you separate?
No, we weren't even at the same
arrived
table.
separate, different tables.
But just getting around the room, you couldn't really it was tough.
You couldn't get in between the tables
and
chairs.
Because it was that full. And
they were
space
so much, Mm-hmm.
Did you have good conversations with people?
Oh,
good
my
conversations.
gosh.
Old
It
home week?
really was like a homecoming to see a lot of old-time friends and stakeholders. And but people, I think they were just happy to be out. It seems like, it's taken 5-6 years since COVID, and I think people are I know me personally, just to see people really felt great. Just to see a bunch of friends and stakeholders.
Well, I had that touch of that feeling when we went to the hospice fundraiser in Fredericton hospice fundraiser dinner, and on a smaller scale, but still just kind of starting to get out around and be around and not be the target of government.
Now we can just say, "Oh, geez."
But
him or whoever.
But down at Speech from the Throne, and I noticed Susan wore a blue jacket.
Yes,
she did. Very bright blue jacket. Yeah. But I don't know if she wore that in Ottawa or not. But she came from Ottawa that day.
Yeah,
where majority of the premiers are conservative. So, but maybe she wanted to fit in. But anyhow, no, she did come in late because her flight was late, and she hopped a ride with somebody on another plane to come back to New Brunswick. So, but it was good. Got to talk to a lot of former stakeholders from the construction industry, from the union of municipalities. Yeah. Lots of mayors and councillors to talk to from around the region.
Was there any common comments or any common?
There wasn't. Nobody was really talking doom and gloom. Everybody just wanted to catch up. How you doing? How you been?
More on a personal level.
Yeah. Some of that. Did a little business while I was there, which was good. Picked up a couple clients.
Good for you.
So that's kind of part of it too. But
yes.
Just catching up. How are things? And they talked. So some of the road builders talked about the road builders AGM that, of course, I wasn't at this year, and just talked about how it was not quite the same, but everything's different every year. It was good.
What about you, Jack?
Well, I ran into, first coming in to the convention center on the main floor, I ran into, Victor Boudreau, who now is senator, former finance minister, MLA, a Liberal MLA, and so he came out of was coming out of the reception. You know how they have the VIP reception there. So I parked my truck and came in and walked by and kind of tried to look in the window a little bit.
Down the hallway.
And he came out of that door, and I said, hello there, and we said hi, and good to see him. I hadn't seen him since he became senator, and I said, I used to go to those. They used to invite me to these VIP meetings, and he laughed, and I said, how you doing? He said he's just enjoying it really, really, a lot, into the process and all that. And I said, well, happy for you. I said, anytime an MLA gets the call to continue on serving the public, I said, is good. So I said, keep up the good. Anyway, ran into him. And that was fun. And David Miles, the MP, and just at the beginning, and then a whole slew of other people. And it was great, seeing CEO of Atlantic Lotto, Dallas McCready, is good.
Is he the CEO now?
Yes,
I didn't realize. I saw him at the hockey rink.
Yes, he mentioned that.
He
did.
He
Yes,
mentioned that. I didn't realize he was
said that
CEO.
guy's got more gear,
More
set up
gear
for
than
film and
CNN.
hockey than
I said, well, Dallas, I wouldn't just do it just
half-ass.
just easy. Yes, exactly. just minimize. I have to go right full tilt. And he started laughing, and his son plays on the Riverview High School hockey team. So that was cool.
He mentioned that.
I wish there was just more. I mean, you can't have more time in between. So in between, like courses of the meal and speeches, that's when you can get up and talk. I wish there was more time because I could have got on the other half of the room. Just because I saw some former colleagues over there that I haven't talked to for a while from my old caucus, and but it was just you didn't get far in the room.
Yeah, and you're pretty well received, positive from both sides, both caucuses, both former MLAs from different parties seem to receive you guys pretty good. So that's fun. You saw Bernard Richard?
I did. Yeah. Did you run into Bernard Richard too?
He chatted me up a little bit.
So I don't know. Did Bernard Richard get around the room pretty easily on both sides?
Well, I just saw him at the reception. So,
okay.
That's the reception upstairs. So. Talked to him and
former minister at the government under Frank McKenna, former child and youth advocate, and
former youth advocate in BC as well.
Yep. I said, "What are you doing now?" I said, "Are you still the child?"
It's hard to keep up with who's doing what. And I said, "Are you still the child and youth advocate in BC?" "Oh no, I stopped doing that while he's turning 75." I said,
75.
Holy, I said, you could be our dad. But very passionate, still involved in nursing home care, senior care,
doing some consulting, some work,
addiction, mental health. And I said, we'd love to have you on. And he kind of hesitated. I don't know, if it's being in the public eye or sort of thing. And then he said, "Well, yeah, okay. Well, let me know when."
Okay.
And very passionate about long-term care and having the people in hospital who really are in a waiting zone to go into a long-term care facility. And I think we alluded to this pilot project where there's over 100 people just been moved out of the Moncton Hospital and into some long-term care. Not their top three choice, but they're, I feel, as well, in a better place than more suited than at the hospital.
And so that would mean, not to veer off on that, but that would mean your top three choices are within 100 kilometers. And then if those aren't available, then this pilot, they're starting to move people internally to outside of that 100 kilometers.
Well, definitely outside their top three.
Yeah.
Outside. I think it's still within.
Probably very rarely they'd be beyond 100 clicks from, I would think.
That's not that drastic then.
Yeah.
No, people argue it either way.
So it's still within 100 kilometers. It's just they're not top.
Yeah. And I'm in favor of that now, looking back with, my father-in-law, Rolly. We never did deny a place because he never got accepted on any of his top three other than his top when it came time to get the call. But looking back at it, if there was another spot open, I would have jumped at that in a heartbeat to have him out of the hospital.
Get the right level of care.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it as well as kind of like, well, when you're in the hospital and the hospital directs you to go to such and such a floor or over here, we're going to move you there, then you're still pretty well going where they tell you. Now, I know it's not 100 kilometers, but it's still got an extension of hospital care, really. And
the issue is it's the families. The families are the ones that fuck it the most because they don't want to have to travel.
No, very much.
After work or on the weekends, travel to visit. Sometimes the nursing home staff need extra help, and families fill in to do a lot of that. So I've heard that argument a lot, even within our own former caucus. It was like, oh no, we can't move them that far.
Well, that's why
people won't be able to visit. But it's like you have the right level of care there for them.
Yeah, and that's why you work so hard with the Ormocto nursing home project, because still, it's down to Gagetown, that's within 100, but it's still a trip down and trip back, junction. So, we'll have to keep an eye on that. Maybe Bernard Richard can give us some update on that. So, anything else about the State of the Province address? Any surprises by anything that Susan said or anything good?
Well, they did a fireside chat with the Minister of Health and Minister of Finance. And then she did her own thing, obviously, and she talked about, one of her biggest targets that she missed, and she was open about it, was that there's more people now waiting for primary care than there was a year ago when she set the target for the number of people she wanted it at. So
She was pretty serious about that target too,
Well, yeah.
and said we can't have success if we don't set targets.
yeah,
Well, and it was, as we all remember, it was quite an issue during the election campaign of what number was what, and it's this amount, and
Right.
it was quite a high number then,
And it had gone up quite high.
It had gone up, and now even in the last year, it's gone up 40,000 more
40,000.
people. So it's close to 240,000 people in New Brunswick
Yeah.
without a family doctor.
yeah.
Like it's
really bad.
It's bad. It's bad. And I
It's
don't
almost, what are we,
say we're at
800 some
850,
thousand?
let's say.
so
Whatever,
over
it's close
20,
to 30
over
some,
more than
30-some%, yeah.
Wow.
They're still without primary care, and that was one of her main campaign planks. Now, yeah, she's only been in for a year and
Did she?
Year
a
and
quarter, a year and a few months, a year and a half.
Did she
so-
say what she had done to try to address
Well,
it?
they've
And did she say what she was?
talked about more collaborative care clinics, like the community-minded ones and things like that. So, I don't know. I think she readily acknowledges that it's not gone as far as she wanted it to right away. But there's other factors. Maybe more doctors are retiring or leaving. Who knows?
Population
I don't know the
increase.
details on why there's more now than before. They would know what the population growth numbers would be.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Yeah.
feds kind of stymied or leveled out the immigration numbers that were coming in. So
Did she talk about? I should have been there, right? But did she talk about?
yeah, we might have been able to squeeze you in, but it was hard enough to get our own
It was
tickets.
hard to get her own
No,
ticket. Holy.
I'm not ready to go back to one of those yet. Have you been to a state of a province before this
Yeah,
one?
it's probably my second one in the last couple of years, 3 years.
Oh yeah, good. Yeah, well,
Once you get there, you'll be fine.
Well,
I gotta break the ice.
Come with us
Get
one
back.
time.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
show you around.
Show me the
introduce you
ropes.
to a few
Show
people.
me the ropes.
But the thing is, Joe, as we all know here, people watching, it's always about, maybe it's getting older, getting what have you, but getting ready and the thought of going and getting ready, the process is
the
always a
anticipation.
challenge.
The anticipation.
But walking in the doors and seeing people, that's what just energizes, and it's so good. But it's the process of getting ready. But you'll
yeah.
do good, Joe. You'll do good.
Couple that with, I mean, I only did it for 10 or so years, but every hour of every day, you're getting ready to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
7 days a week. And you did that for almost 20.
I know. And the time
So it does
before
wear
that,
ya.
the time before I was elected to do it, getting ready to getting elected
Yeah.
to that other 4 years.
Right. So it kind of wears you a little bit. But,
It does. It
but
does.
once you get there,
yeah.
it's a lot of fun. You get to talk to people.
Well, I remember the
Oh, yeah.
time when I ran the election. I think it was the by-election, I'm pretty sure. And but you were still elected then. But we went to a church supper. I think it was here in Nasonworth at the Anglican church, and my pace was a little slower, but but to see you work the room, it was just come in, and it was just I saw you at the beginning when we walked in, and then you were gone for 45 minutes, and you came back and swept up ate that meal real quick. And
Yes, because you don't miss the meal.
no, you don't miss
But
the
you
meal,
got to get the meal in and do some talking, and that was a learned thing. I remember when I first was going to breakfasts too, and Krista and I would go down to the Burton Lions Club to breakfast, and this is probably the early 2000s or something, and she's like, you got to get up and get around. I'm like, yeah, they don't want to talk to me while they're having breakfast though. Like, no, you got to get around. They want. It
They
seems
do.
like it.
That's
It
what
seems
you're
like
there
they
for.
don't want. It feels like naturally they wouldn't want you to interrupt, but they really do want to see your member get
yeah.
around.
They do.
And and when you think you're down a few votes or whatever, then you're gonna put it up a notch, and then you're gonna make, if you can make 4 calls in half an hour, you're gonna make 12 calls or 8, and get on there and get on the horn, get around there. Don't anyway.
Yeah, it was good.
Oh, now you're getting me excited about going to next year's State of the Province.
yes.
Oh, we'll get them to a smaller one first, just to break them in.
Yeah, let's
easy.
go to a lunch and learn or something.
Yeah, a little
by
lunch
the
and learn.
chamber.
Chamber breakfast.
I'll get up and ask a question. I have a question. Have you noticed such and such?
I have a question for the minister.
For the minister. Did Susan, they talk about the $1 billion deficit where we might be approaching?
Well, they have concerns about the deficit, obviously. They never gave any detailed numbers, but I did see a report this week now that's showing that the deficit could be higher than $1 billion this year.
Oh, dear.
1.3, I think I
With a
read
B. With
in
a
one of
B.
the articles, because they still have to consider the doctor contracts and things like that.
230 million or some
So
million.
who knows? I think the last quarter they reported was 800 and some million,
Yeah.
and rising. So if it goes over $1 billion, it'll be the first time in the history of New Brunswick over $1 billion deficit.
Right.
That's just this
This
current year.
fiscal we're in, yeah.
And then they're not counting the pressures for an additional year. So the pressure keeps going up. So this year and year, and then next year. So it's probably, if we don't do anything, it could be $1.5 billion.
It could be.
Easy.
And
Into next year.
when people ask, like, how does it get out of control? Like, how does it get going like that?
Well, it's
Well,
probably easy to...
status quo. If you don't make tough choices right from day one or in the first year, we've always said that a lot of times the numbers would come out at the beginning of this budget process, which was probably couple months ago here for the government. The government will say, if you do nothing, it's going to be $900 million if it's status quo. So it's really no surprising.
No.
If you haven't made tough choices, it's going to be $1 billion.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's not a one time per year event. It's actually your budgeting has to be like every day, every week, every month. Like these are ongoing dialogues, conversations about what the numbers are and where the pressures are. And
And then once that genie gets out of the bottle, like it is now,
it's
very hard to stuff that back in.
yeah, it's easy to let it go.
Former
That's
colleague of mine would say, once the poop gets out of the donkey, it's hard to put the poop back in.
I love it. I love it.
But it is. And to change that ship and change the culture of the spend, not going to be easy, especially once, they got elected. One of their campaign promises was balanced budgets.
Yeah.
And she clearly, when she was on the show with us here before Christmas in December, she justified it, or tried to. We questioned her about it, and she said, well, we know that there was lack of spending in years leading up, and there was choices made, and we just knew that we had to invest in some of those gaps, and people would accept that. Now, polling would tell you that at least prior to Christmas and back to the election time, the sentiment among the public, the majority, don't mind the deficit if it's funding social services or services they need.
Yeah.
Where's that limit at? And can you pull it back in? And we've just seen Nova Scotia has had their credit rating downgraded because of too many deficits.
And when it's downgraded, that means interest rates go up.
Right.
And we have
Cost
more
interest
to manage the debt.
And we have more debt. If there was a way to tie into the awareness of people what an increased debt and deficit would actually mean to them personally or directly, it's really hard.
Well, there is a way, but
if there's a way that they would actually do it,
Yep.
to say, if we go
This
up
is
out
what
of
it
this,
means.
then this means this. So we want to make sure everyone collectively, you have to put your minds to it. People,
But we had surpluses in the Higgs government, paying down on the debt, and people thought it was too much. We weren't invested enough in the social services. Maybe they were right. I don't know. But you can only spend so much and get results. Like at some point, there's no amount of money you can spend. Sometimes you can't even spend it. Like if you're talking about infrastructure type of thing, there's only so many tenders you can put out.
Yeah.
There's only so many people to bid on them, and only so much labor to do that work. So, well, that's been quite a chat. I think we're near the end of our first segment here.
Up to 18
so
minutes,
let's just take a short break and gather our thoughts. And when we come back, what do you want to say?
Well, when we come back, let's extend this conversation on the budget and talk about the consultation that's been released by the government here.
A little survey.
Yeah, let's see.
People to have their say.
See if it's you got some intel there to let us know if maybe the horse has already been let out of the barn before we're trying to get some feedback here for the government.
It'll be hard to catch that horse. Anyway, we'll be right back in a few minutes.
Hi there, welcome back to the Carr Brothers Show, episode 158, segment 2. I'm Jack.
And
I'm Donkey.
No.
I'm Jody.
So, and I'm Jeff, and the joke is here that when we just cut the last intro that But we never usually cut anything. But when it came for me to say I'm Jeff, Joe piped up first and said I'm Jeff. And
You got us mixed up.
We do get a little mixed up.
Get us
but
thrown
anyhow,
off here a little bit.
now he's donkey. We're not putting your poop back in that
And that's
donkey.
referred to the earlier segment. That's right.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's good. And what a great discussion there in the first segment on the State of the Province address. And we got into the finances of the government, over $1 billion deficit projected, many will say, and hasn't been officially confirmed by the government, but that yet to be seen. Now, Jeff and Jode, there's budget consultations taking place, just announced here in the last day or two.
Have your say.
Have your say, but it's due in a little over 2 weeks. And then a month after that, we'll have the budget. And, well, what do you think about the consultations?
Well,
We've done them
most
many
governments in the
times.
past. They do some sort of a consultation. I remember in Allwards government, I was your EA, and we brought Blaine around to different places.
Have a community meeting.
Yeah, and
talk
he
about all
did
the
whole
options.
thing, and I remember Ernie did it when in the Higgs government. He would go meet with different
Norm Betts did it.
organizations, so they all do it. I mean, and I don't know how much of the public input gets in, other than all those. There are stakeholders that give some pretty good input into how the budget should go or whatever. But I mean, here we are, first week of February now. This survey is due 20th of February, I think, before the end, and then they have a month to put their budget together. So I mean,
But they're not just going to start in a month and start the budget.
Well,
When's the typical process? When does it typically start?
well,
next
right
year's
after Christmas, basically, you're starting to get your departments together.
Cabinet
most of
meetings
us have been there with PMP and Treasury Board and in cabinet, and you have your drafts coming forward and
Proposals.
get
and
those,
this.
yeah, and then you have you bring your spreadsheet, and then you've got all the green things, and then you got some red lines of what you can cut or what you should cut, and then some yellow lines about, well, here's a negotiable that we could take out to get down to our number premier or finance minister or whatever. Obviously, they didn't have a spreadsheet like that in the last couple of years, but now it seems there's some urgency, right, on behalf of government to try to get it under control, and it's not easy. Like,
Yeah.
it's like I during a break I use the analogy, like if you get that big fish on and you let all your line out, it's hard to get your 300 feet of line back in.
Without
so.
it snapping. Yeah.
So there is a survey online here, and you can find it on the government website. And then you got to go down, scroll down to the main page, and it says "Get involved in public consultations." And then scroll down to that one, and right here it says list of public consultations. There's 26, 27 pre-budget consultation. You click on that, and you can read the discussion document. And there's numbers, there's flashy numbers. Projected revenues $13.7 billion. Projected spending is $4.5 billion, which shows a deficit of $834 million. But like I said earlier on the other segment, there's a report out in one of the media talking about potentially $1.3 billion deficit, which first time in history over $1 billion. So then you can scroll down a little bit, how to participate and part of your feedback, and then there's provide ideas online. So if you click on that, there's a little survey there in your on the consultation. Why your input matters, challenges and considerations. We all know the challenges. And then there's a little survey, about a 13-question survey. 10-question survey.
And are these the so-called 12 options that they're looking at?
Well, it talks 2 pages back. It talks about different options, and in the media they kind of summarized it a little bit.
Yeah.
But then it asks people to submit this little survey.
Multiple choice survey or something?
Yeah, and this is one I think has to be back by the 20th of February.
Okay,
But,
tell us a
the
couple questions.
the horse is kind of out of the barn now, really, but it kind of gives you an idea what people are thinking.
Could do a last-minute walk-on idea, I suppose.
Yeah,
Or it's more about a poll.
For future polling.
Maybe it's kind of being used as a poll.
Maybe
in a
it's
way,
called
too.
consultation. Options for consideration. So question 1, are you concerned about the province's overall debt? Now, there are people that will say no.
Oh,
There
tons
are
of
people that say, no, not
tons
worried
of
about it. I'm not going to have to worry about it. I'll be dead in 10, 20 years. Somebody else can worry about it. And that happens.
Yeah, I'd
But
like to
there's-
know how many people knows that it's a $13 billion budget to begin with.
Right.
You ask them, how big is the budget in New Brunswick?
They wouldn't even know.
No.
Most wouldn't, but we know it's $13 billion.
Yeah.
In that
So
area,
how-
it's going
how
to be could be
concerned-
14 next year.
And like Jode said, this actually could very well be more of a poll rather than consultation, but just to get a feel of how many people actually
called
care
a
about
con-
a broken
it's called a
promise. How many
consultation.
care about if there's
What's
Right.
another question?
deficit?
So it wants to know if you're concerned about the province's overall debt. Strongly agree down to strongly disagree with all the options in between. Would you agree with reducing the size of the civil service, understanding that reductions in staffing in many departments and agencies might cause service reductions, changes in delivery, or increased processing times?
And what I'm
That's a-
concerned
that's a
about is
loaded
that
question.
it's yes, but I'm concerned that it's the second question. You're targeting the civil service, and my concern would be is it's heavily loaded in the Fredericton area. So is this back to again that
you go.
we'll have to cut the frontline services or the internal services of government?
That's been our argument in the
It's
past.
going to be hard for Susan Holt in that regard. 'Cause her constituency is in Fredericton. She campaigned on protecting our Fredericton civil service. A lot of civil servants supported and former civil servants. So it's good to get a litmus test. But how many are going to? Well, I was going to say how many will say yes. A lot of parts of the province have always said, "Oh, cut them down in Fredericton."
I know.
But,
Bloated government. Well, my first
you
thought
take-
was, go ahead, John.
I was going to say, when you take parts 1, 2, and 3, remember one time
it's pretty
Troy
even.
Lifford was the HR minister, and he did the chart and said that it's fairly even overall when you take the 3 parts. Although, yes, Fredericton probably has more of the part 1, I think, if I can remember. But
So part 3 is the healthcare, or part 2 education?
yeah, vice
Part 1
versa.
is all government with
All
healthcare,
government.
yeah.
So you could take a look at that, but you're not. Are you going to cut significantly in part 3 healthcare, civil service? And I don't think so.
Right.
Education, you have a limited ability to reduce the administration in school districts, but not like a whole lot. You've got payroll and some of the administration, but and so you can say that those parts are distributed evenly around the province, but then where they would be targeting is the part one, which is where they have the most control over too.
Unless they mandate the Crown Corps to do the same. They're in what, part 3?
Part 4.
Part 4, so they could or maybe they already have. I don't know. My first thought when I saw it was, pensions, packages, retirement packages, perhaps for some people. I don't know what that would look
Which
like nowadays.
some civil servants might love to have a retirement package right
Well,
now.
I mean, I know one that probably would have stuck around for an extra 6 months if she thought she could get a package. But so it could be that.
Okay,
Could be
what's the
some of
third
that.
question? What's the third question?
But I think we all agree that healthcare is probably not on the target. Can't be if that's one of her main things that she's trying to.
No, but they're also going to talk about redirecting funds in healthcare.
System changes.
So
and
because of the
that's-
pressure, where can they? Anyway,
So here's one that's we've dealt with this one a lot over the years, and a lot of rural areas will feel this one. Do you agree that schools with less than 100 students should be consolidated with other larger schools if reducing the number of these smaller schools could help fund other priorities such as collaborative care clinics?
what I
So
would
here's
say.
a question from 1970.
Yeah.
This is quite a long-standing,
Isn't that original?
50-year-old question, you know?
But it's never
Schools
been,
have been,
fully addressed. I mean, they try to reduce the number of schools until with building new schools. They'll close down 3 or 4, but there are still a lot of small schools. But it
Yes.
means traveling for kids. It means closing your local school.
Yeah, I guess my point is that it's just been an age long since at least
That's an
70s,
issue, yeah.
70s that
But
schools
if-
have been
But if the
under
majority strongly agree, does that give them the license to do it?
And secondly,
Good point.
Secondly, why wouldn't they want to do that to have money go to healthcare, but why not do that and have the money go to education?
Right.
At least if you know you're going to have the money going to better school supports and integrated services and mental health for youth and all of the underfunding in our schools that are already underfunded.
Well,
I wish I had fought more to keep the funds as much as possible, even more in education, because we were some of the underfunded education systems in the country in education, even though the enrollment goes down. So then potentially But then that's where they want discussion to get going. Well, you would reduce it if it stayed in education, but you might not if it, you know what I mean. So now I'm part of the discussion of
ball rolling.
Yeah,
But we've been closing schools for 50 years.
Yeah.
And
here
we are.
Recently,
Here we are.
We couldn't close them unless there was structural issues because the population was growing, so we needed to add schools.
Yeah.
But there's still at the same time a number of schools in the province. I mean, we can all point to some that have 50 students in them, no gymnasium, no cafeteria, and the Burton's been on and off the chopping block forever, and Cambridge Narrows.
And this is what I would say to that question: is it just the student population, the student enrollment in that school, or should it be the capacity that's being used?
Right.
So the Burton School has like 2 or 3 classrooms, and it's got a population under 100. But does that mean it's underutilized?
Right.
Or would you be better off looking at a school that's a size for 300, but only 50 are in as a school for the size of 300?
Right.
Like there
Is
are
it
schools
half full?
like that. Yeah.
You got to take the percentages of.
So potentially the percentages. And the other thing that was brought up recently was these schools. If you do close the school, why can't we use that for a nursing home? Change that into some nursing home
Spaces.
And I forget what the reason was. They told me at the time when I was there why they couldn't do that, but
probably asbestos or something.
there wasn't a lot of interest. But it
Of course, there's not, because they want brand new buildings for nursing homes and stuff. But you got the building and put all new HVAC systems in and sprinkler systems in if they don't have them already.
That's what they say probably.
But if the student population is there, But I think going on the Burton one, I think that one is actually rolled into the consolidation for the new K8s in Moncton that are on the planning. I think, and then I remember seeing some Facebook traffic tagging Mary and different ones like, "Will you save our school in Burton because we don't want to be part of that phase of
and there will be
having the new K8s in Moncton. You got brand new schools, but they got to have the attendance from somewhere. So it's a tough one.
Well, the problem always has been that the population shift from rural areas and from northern or rural northern especially moving. In Francophone North, they go to Moncton and St. John Fredericton. And then you're building new schools for that population shift, and you're maintaining the existing schools. And so if you can get some of them consolidated. So in Moncton, they've done this quite a lot in communities, and the proposal here is to close how many? And
quite a number.
6 or 7 or 8, and then combine them into like 2 or 3 new schools.
Yeah.
And that will reduce costs of the maintenance of the buildings as well as the administration of the buildings.
And, a lot of those old buildings in Moncton are band-aided.
Well, they've been all built in the 50s 40s and 50s and 60s, so big problem. What's the next question?
Yeah. Let's go on to the next one.
We have something to say about each one of
Well,
them, maybe.
we've been down the path of reading these questions for
It's
years
not easy
and years
work.
and years. Would you agree with reducing some functions of government, such as those listed below, if it means having more money to invest in priorities like healthcare and education? So they've added your education.
Notice loaded questions. Loaded questions. If it means this, well, how are you going to argue education and healthcare? So you list these if it means. I'd be very curious to talk to.
So it doesn't mean that they're going to lower any budget or deficit. They're just going to transfer money.
Well, it could, but
transition money.
It'd be very interesting to talk to a statistician and polling experts on how these questions are loaded. Do you agree with Kathy? If it means, well, you're already skewing the answer if you're putting if it means.
We should get a pollster on to talk about some of that stuff.
We know healthcare spending is going up regardless, so it's like you can cut there or not cut there. You're still putting it to healthcare.
That's
right.
But anyway, so what were some of the
I
options?
think most people wouldn't mind it going to healthcare as long as it created results.
We need it, and if we have an increase in waiting lists, and after all that they've invested so far, and it's gone even further worse. So what's the options?
So the options are A. so these ones are gonna get
discussion.
They're going to get some discussion in different areas.
Okay.
In the communities that these will affect. Closing or transferring smaller tourism or heritage sites to private or nonprofit operators. So all the options are there. Closing or transferring smaller tourism or heritage sites to private or nonprofit operators. And now in our ridings, there's a number of heritage places that are already operated by nonprofits. Our French Lake Park campground has already been transferred to a private operator years and years and years ago, but there's a number around the province that have not been. So what does that mean for those people? Who knows?
What's the other ones?
Ending or reducing grant programs for nonprofit community organizations or educational/learning institutions. That one could get very controversial if it's not handled properly. Very
Eliminating
ending or reducing grant programs for nonprofit community organizations or educational learning institutions. So for me, that means
Like
nonprofits.
NBCC could fall into that category.
Maybe, but they're not a nonprofit. Well, they're not really a nonprofit, but
Yeah.
grant programs for some of the pedal contracts that are out
those
there.
adult
For
learning
adult
centers.
learning centers. Adult GED programs that you can get at Central River Valley or whatever.
See,
So-
and they always like to target nonprofit, but we've said before, the three of us are big supporters of nonprofit organizations, that they actually complement government.
they do
They
the
can
work.
do the work cheaper than government, and they also know the people in the province better than government from a general sense. So they should actually be looking at, when they talk about privatizing or moving services out of whatever, they should be looking at nonprofit as one of those organizations, one of those groups of government.
Well, they get more efficient and they do
Yeah.
more results. Ending or reducing grants and subsidies for business development and expansions.
Well,
So
you
that
know
could
what
be
my
a-
problem is? I never even know where to get the grant or the subsidy for business development.
Call your MLA. Call your member.
But every
They'll
time
tell you.
wonder, it's like, how do you get a grant? Oh, we don't do forgivable loans. Unless you're a large company, then you can get, okay.
Well, even then they get the payroll
yeah.
funding. So, I mean, but is it that? Is it your simple $5,000 grants at RDC and we hand out through the community investment funds? Will that go away?
Yeah.
There's quite a number, and I mean,
I don't know
there's
any-
certain areas of the province that love their grants.
Yeah. And maybe the subsidy, and it could be like wage programs and whatnot, but that's all tied
The
to
problem
federal.
is
That's tied
people
to
are
federal
answering
money,
questions here, and we really don't know
what it's about.
what is the full answer.
True. What's the full question?
I
What's the next
would
one?
struggle with this if I was in cabinet. I'd be like, well, give me some details, and
But
they
then
would get mad at me.
But then again, that's if they're actually going to take it seriously. So they may not.
Right.
But what's another one?
So we'll do number 5, and then maybe we'll take a little break.
Okay.
How about that, guys?
Okay.
You all right with that? Mm-hmm. Would you agree with shifting patients from hospitals to long-term? This is going to require a longer discussion. Would you agree with shifting patients from hospitals to long-term care facilities that provide the required care at a lower cost in the first available space within a reasonable distance from their community until a bed at their preferred location becomes available? So what that means is what we said earlier. If you're in a hospital and you're holding up a bed and you are you could be transferred to a long-term care facility or nursing home, and you put your top three requirements or places you'd like to go, and one comes up that's not one of those, or maybe is number 3, but it's further away, you get transferred to that until one of your top 3 comes available.
Yeah.
And that's happening now in a
it is
pilot in
happening.
Moncton.
Vitality, yeah, I think in Vitality.
I'd be curious to see the results, but I'm personally in favor if what we have seen and hear and experience, waiting in a hospital is not good health care. And people,
not for long-term care
that's what I mean.
patients, right?
And they can then get worse in health, worse
Decline.
They get worse in the hospital, and then
Well, it's a drag on the staff that's not their level of service.
I would like to think that you'll get better care if you can show that you're going to get better care in another kind of long-term care facility, which is already existing. Then
And I think we've seen some of this go on, and the lists get messed up, and so somebody's got to be managing that has the capability of managing the transfer lists and all that business. It's got to be one list. But anyhow, that's one of their options.
But it's
so
funny, the old bureaucrats.
Where's the cost there for that? Well, I think it's in the healthcare service of primary care.
But the old bureaucrats would say, when you ask about this type of thing, they would say, well, actually, it's cheaper to keep a long-term care patient in the hospital, because when they're less costly than if you free up those beds for more surgeries and more complicated whatever.
They're bed blockers.
Then you're actually going to increase the costs in the hospital.
I bet you they're in those wait lists now, some of those old bureaucrats, and they probably have a different attitude about that now.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, now I'm one of them.
Yeah, because if we don't close, I was told if we don't
Yes.
close beds, then the costs are actually going to go up. I'm like, oh, okay, so let's close beds, and then it's politically unacceptable. But
But because
We can't do it now. Can't close beds now.
Well, and there's such
the
a
hump going up. So.
more of a pushback from people realizing that that's not the best care for seniors that are waiting for a long-term care facility to be in the hospital.
Staff are just getting
but you're right, they're
exhausted.
A lot of times used, whether it's myth or people being told, used as bed blockers. It costs more to have non-long-term care patient in those beds.
Mm-hmm.
So it's better for care if you can get into a better place besides the hospital wings and hallways for elderly people that are waiting.
Well, the staffing levels are different too, right? Like your formulas are different in a nursing home.
Yeah.
And they're all negotiated through contracts. So there's halfway. We're halfway through this little survey.
Wow.
So we're going to take
a lot of work to do.
We've got a lot of work to do.
I think some of the other questions are probably a little easier to go through. But like I say, that long-term care one that that could take up a lot of time.
So I'd like to hear what people have to say. They can either write into us, they can leave messages on the voicemail, they can put comments on Facebook.
Members.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take just a few minutes and we'll kind of catch our breath and take a little break, and I'll allow you to view some of these public service announcements, and we'll be right back in a couple of minutes.
Hi there, welcome back to the Carr Brothers Show. It's episode 158. I'm Jack.
And I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jody, the third of the three Carr Brothers.
Yes, sir. And
we can be fun.
Yes, that's right. And we want to thank our viewers and listeners on CHCO, on YouTube, on your favorite podcaster. And then, usually we'll put the first segment on Facebook to gear people over to YouTube as well. So we're having a great discussion. The last segment was extensively on the budget consultations and the budget coming up.
Getting us all worked up.
I don't know how engaged people are or how boring they think this is, but we're trying to kind of explain some of these survey questions as
they
best
might
as
think
we can.
it's funny.
Yeah, some of the things we've
Exactly.
seen. Yeah, they might.
We still have
What's
this
wrong
big
with those
discussion,
guys?
like it might even make a difference if, with the government. But because, it's a little late in the game here creating the budget, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the budget numbers are being put together now, obviously, a month and a half out from releasing the budget. So, being in cabinet, we know that you've been in and out of Treasury Board for a number of weeks now with your numbers and going back and forth. So,
and
where are you going to cut? I guess the important thing is, what is the target that the Premier's office is getting to, and that's where the rubber hits the road for departments.
Yeah, and remember last budget, there were obviously there's always some
2-ply toilet paper out of the tourism buildings and put in 1-ply.
But remember last year, there's always some missteps with every budget. So what I wonder if this year there's going to be a lot more questions by cabinet ministers as well when these budgets are being presented.
Second
to cabinet,
time around,
because
more
they
familiar.
a little more familiar with the pain of missteps, not having all the information, not being aware of all the questions they should be asking.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to be asking more questions, which takes more time.
Mm-hmm.
But also remember too, there's still just really new ministers trying to make sure. So I think they're going to be more cautious, maybe asking more questions, which will, as we said, will take more time. So they're under the gun. They would have had to hopefully start earlier in January to listen to these presentations and what the department does and what the program does and go through all that again.
Good point.
And if they don't do that, then they're going to have some major missteps again.
It doesn't take much.
No.
It's very hard nowadays with the way social media is to get ahead of those things, because most people, if you see on social media, every time there's a government Facebook post, it happened in previous governments, it's just a out of control barrage of negativity on there, because people really don't trust government that they're going to get it right anyway.
Now, so far, like last year, Susan, I think, did a decent job at if it was brought to the public's attention that there was an issue that wasn't going the way it should go, then she wasn't scared to hold it back or to
reevaluate,
to say
a little deeper.
That's not the direction we gave or what we intended, so let's pull this back. So that set some tone where they're willing to be flexible somewhat, but maybe too flexible over the $1.2 billion deficit. But
no kidding. So before our break, we were talking about this survey on the provincial government website, and you can find that. Go down through I went through it earlier. Click, and go to different pages, and you get into the survey that you can submit, that the public can submit. And it's just options for consideration for government. And we went through a number of them: nursing homes, healthcare, education. But we've on down here now, and number 6 is government owns many assets, including buildings and properties, and we all know that. This includes vacant and underused assets. Would you, A, support government consolidating underused properties and disposing of surplus properties? Well, that's probably a no-brainer. That's been going on. Can it happen quicker? Yes, it can. B, support government repurposing properties for priority areas such as collaborative care clinics or affordable housing. No-brainer. I think most people would say yes to that too.
And is that what we were just talking about, repurposing a school building or
for a nursing home, right? And there's a number of them. I mean, when I was a minister of infrastructure, there's buildings in all sorts of municipalities that were sitting empty,
old offices.
And what it comes down to a lot of is who's going to pay if a municipality wants an empty building that the government owns, it's a school, who's going to pay for the to remediate some of the issues inside that building? Town of Moncton just acquired Hubbard, the old Hubbard school, and I think they completely tore it down maybe. And the mayor and I spoke when I was a minister, started that process. There was deed issues, there was ownership issues, who owned it, was it the federal government, provincial? And there was a lot of issues on the inside of that old school that had to be addressed, and I think they ended up tearing it down, but they were able to acquire it. But getting to that stage of a municipality getting that building from province, I'll tell you, it wasn't easy. So I hope that, and I'm guessing they're working on how do you make that more efficient and more streamlined. So that's those are no-brainers. Most people would say yes to that, especially if you can, transfer them or repurpose them for collaborative care clinics or affordable housing. Who's going to say that's a bad idea?
We'd rather have an empty building.
Well,
right, that's fallen down.
Depends who constituents are that have private office space that they want rented to the government, and they, are supporters of government members, and a lot of pushback, a lot of lobbying. That's been the age-old, one of the age-old issues.
I always like the idea of, but the departments are separate. But when you're talking about repurposing an existing school, and if the community could see at that time of the discussion of whether you should be consolidating Burton School in with somewhere else, and then you're left with an empty building as the option, if you could get ahead of that as a government and say, well, we could still use it for a learning center, we could use it for a collaborative care clinic, you'll get something else that's useful for the community, then you could start having some good discussions there. Maybe it might not be just a strict no. It might be a starting
People are
point.
open to it.
Yeah, maybe. Let's just pull that.
Back in the old days, they would say, well, we'll give you a DNR office, or we'll give you service to Brunswick or something. We'll get you something down there. Don't worry.
Yeah. Now they don't have those somethings left anymore.
Right. So here's one that kind of is, I have my own strong views on it. So it says, would you agree with the greater use of chip seal? And they do have a definition of what chip seal is.
The greater use of
on
chip
less
seal.
traveled provincial roads over more costly asphalt, if savings could be redirected to other maintenance priorities. So there's an interesting one.
There's a good point.
Other maintenance priorities, which would mean, we're going to repurpose.
Who's getting paved roads?
No, but why didn't they? Why didn't they say that
To
those
healthcare
savings would go to
facilities.
healthcare facilities, like their education savings?
Good question.
Talking about.
So it's a very wide open. But my thought is, on chip seal, it's crap.
But warning, are you also prepared to have less winter service for snow plowing and road maintenance with a downgraded
That's
chip
what chip
seal
seal
road?
means, yes.
Because they're different classes of roads, and when you change the Waterville Road from a paved road to a chip seal road, you're going to get it plowed less and salted less and sanded less and also maintained less. So that's something to keep in mind.
So a lot of these questions, they really don't have. I'm glad we're doing this, because a lot of these questions do not have the context, did you think of this, or before you answer such and such on the first blush it sounds, okay, well, just have chip seal.
Well, the engineers at
People don't even know what that
DTI
means.
would love nothing more than to have everything chip sealed, because it costs less in the front end. And they can get more done within their budget if they do it right. Look at the branch road and the new road.
Charter settlement.
What a mess. Charter settlement road. But the long term is, to me, it's not a good investment. I would rather see
Gravel road.
a road like the branch road, even just padded and leveled with asphalt, and have no chip seal on it. But asphalt is long term, it's the way to go. really is. It will last you longer if you're chip sealing, you're patching potholes the very next year. Just doesn't stay. It doesn't hold. Back in the Allward years, at the time, they switched the composition of the tar they used, and that might have been more of a industry thing. It was more water-based instead of oil-based, so it doesn't stick as well. It's just not good product. So I don't like the idea of it unless the traffic count on those roads are really, really low.
And you know what you could say too, if you're going to because trying to argue for asphalt money on a road that's not well traveled, it's going to not get the asphalt, and it's going to have potholes and patching, and it's going to be crap. So probably if you went to those houses and said, "Gee, we'll give you a new chip seal if you'll fill in the potholes," then people would say, "Well, gee, if it's better than what we got right now, we better take the chip seal."
Yeah.
Just remember, you're going to have a little less service.
So a good example is the Wilsey Road that goes through Rouge-Gornish.
Oh, that has to be asphalt.
And it should be asphalt. And when I was elected still, and I mean, you had a number of summers
right
where
from the
it got
premier's
chip
office
sealed.
said we would get her done.
Yeah,
But,
and you had
anyhow.
it chip sealed a number of years, and we've had it patted and patched. And the last time was during the 2020 election, and they were there. They did a really poor
Look,
job
you boys, I
leveling
had all
it.
my roads looked after.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're ready to be done again.
Yeah.
That
So
should be done similar.
I
to
actually had
Wilsey
the numbers pulled of what it cost over the 10 years before that to chip seal it every couple of years and patch it, and it would have been cheaper in the long run to pave it.
Yeah, to use
And it
those
would have
funds.
lasted 15 years or so. So
There's business case for
They
it. In the
gotta-
Road Builders Association
depends
have
on
made
the-
presentations and things. And
traffic
builds business
counts
case.
and how much traffic's on. It's heavy traffic.
let's
on
get
it.
to the
So
next
let's
one.
go on to the next one. But anyway, there's an argument for and against, and I'm biased when it comes to that stuff.
Or knowledgeable.
Knowledgeable.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Would you agree that the process for provincial grants should be made simpler to reduce unnecessary steps and overlap and ensure funding goes to nonprofit, community, or educational projects that achieve their goals? So that's a little bit of a weird question, because up above they asked if you thought it would be all right to reduce those grants for nonprofits. So I
That's an
don't know.
interesting one. That achieve their goals.
What's,
what's the government's
I
goals
saw this
first
new
off?
product out there, this new
Oh, yeah.
software called Excel.
Oh, right.
Surely you could get that all coordinated.
Right.
But
Well,
we don't always like to share the information between departments and between sections
Yeah.
of the department. But
do we believe the process should be made simpler? Absolutely.
Always.
And does that mean a few bureaucrats in that chain of command or steps find something else to do, or they're not included in it? Is that their way of reducing civil service? I don't know.
But a lot of times those grants have been set at those dollar amounts with those organizations for multiple years. It's
Exactly.
a $20,000 grant to fund the food bank.
Right.
And it's already underfunded, but that's what we've been funding for however many years. And so
But I will say, over at RDC, the people that I dealt with there in the past, there's not a lot of them. They have their programming done pretty good. They stick to their application process and what qualifies and doesn't. So, I mean, I think they do okay.
Yeah.
But there's lots of other grant stuff that goes on, and maybe there's doubling up. All right.
Okay.
Should government explore new sources of revenue? So now we're into the revenue side of raising taxes and fees. They gotta offset the deficit.
the money has to
somehow.
come from somewhere.
Should government explore new sources of revenue such as an arts and culture levy on relevant ticket sales, concert tickets, or hotel tourism levies? Well, we already do the
I think they
hotel
already do the
tourism
hotel
levies,
tourism.
only in municipalities, and that money goes back to the municipality through tourism strategy that they have. So are they thinking about adding on to give the provincial government more
pulling some of
revenue?
that money, or
Might as well
pulling
tax
maybe.
every small little variety show that's out there,
Yeah.
and get on the backs of the artists out there. So
Right.
I don't think that one's going to fly. I
think
certainly
so.
wouldn't support it. It doesn't make sense. But
Reviewing the crown land fee structure and or increasing mining royalties.
So stumpage rates. then.
Stumpage rates.
They don't want to
and
put it in a
royalties.
document or
Well,
say it out loud.
JDI is not going to go with that either, but most of those big
Might
companies
have to
would.
be a response to the tariffs, though.
Maybe.
They might not have any choice but to raise them.
Right. Exploring tolls for non-New Brunswick vehicles at provincial entry exit points or major highways. Non-New Brunswick vehicles. So
Well,
there is a report that has been done on that. I had it commissioned. Actually, it was done before I went to DTI, but they included all of New Brunswick commercial vehicles, and I said, well, if we're penalizing our own commercial vehicles that are coming in the province, it's going to be passed on anyhow, and we could potentially put New Brunswick companies out of business. So they went back and they had a study done on what kind of revenues could be raised for out of province, out of
non-commercial,
out of province, commercial or non-commercial, coming in the province. So I don't know where that is, but it was already done and it was there. So we'll see. Our tolls coming on the borders. Basically, that's what it's asked for.
That does counterproductive with the interprovincial trade barriers that are now being reduced, and
exactly
provinces working together. So that don't know if that would even fly anyway.
May not.
With
colleagues.
Don't know what Doug Ford would do.
Regulating online gaming activities to oversee and safeguard existing activities rather than promote increasing betting. So regulating maybe adding more fees to the gaming activities to oversee and safeguard existing activities rather than promote increasing betting. I'm not sure how the government gets revenue from that, but
maybe cracking down on outside
maybe
websites.
Some more VLT fees or something.
Maybe cracking down on outside websites that people access for gambling rather than Casino NB and Atlantic Lotto.
Maybe there's revenue there. And number 10 is, would you agree with government reviewing or removing exemptions in the property tax system to ensure they remain relevant, targeted, and equitable? So
that's a pretty heavy question, too.
It is. Who knows where that one would go? So anyhow,
on a happy note,
yeah,
we're done talking about the budget today. Wow, there's a lot of complex issues there, no easy answers.
That stuff. So I think we're just about out of time, guys.
Yes, we are. Well, hopefully
we may or may not have a couple of those questions cut out of the program, but that's okay. It's not everybody's cup of tea. So until next week, we may have we'll have to get a guest on to talk about some of these things, perhaps.
Toodly-doo and Heidi-ho, neighbor. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.